Welcome to another episode of Fill in the Blank podcast. Today I'm joined with Corey.
Yo.
So Corey, what do you know about the Trans-Universal Zombie Church of the Blissful Ringing?
Only thing I really understood was that it seemed like some sort of political action.
By political action, like an assassination or an outcry of people?
Outcry of people, like a response.
Now, did you know this is actually a religion? So I don't know if you know anything about Pastafarianism or types of parody religions. Well, this one
Yes,
in Slovenia is actually registered as an actual religion. It's not a parody religion, which most people get confused because of the name Trans-Universal Zombi Church of the Blissful Ringing. It's based off basically the country's corruption. How there's corrupt things in politics and government. Do you know any particular cases that might come to your mind when you think of corrupt politicians? Or
they go hand in hand, honestly.
So the Trans-Universal Zombie Church of the Blissful Ringing. It's a contemporary religion in Slovenia founded in March 2013 and registered in the National Registry of Religious Communities in 2014. As of late 2014, the church had over 10,000 members, making it the fifth largest region in Slovenia. Or religion. So think about that. When we look at Christianity and all these different types of places, but we're looking at a whole other country and a whole, basically the fifth largest religion there.
In that country, not the world.
Yeah, but that's ridiculous to think. Because you hear the name of this and the first thing that comes to your mind is it's a joke. Like you don't believe it's true. So is that just because, do you look at them as
but
being...
we don't even know what it is really yet.
Exactly. So do you think that there's an inner meaning behind it that actually might have some relativity in it, where it would be bolstered to be followed by all these people?
Yeah, I think that's the thing is it's a political reaction, and they're doing it under the ruse of a religion. That's kind of their platform to do it.
So you don't see it as a joke? Because a lot of people look at Pastafarianism as a joke.
I don't necessarily see it as a joke, but I don't see it as a parody either. I just see it as just like a reaction.
Like a protest.
Yeah.
Well, basically, the origins of this, the religion's origins are tied to 2012 to 2013 Slovenian protests, where thousands of people protested against members of the Slovenian political elite, including the mayor, Maribor Franz Kangler, the Prime Minister of Slovenia, Janez Janša, the opposition leader and mayor of the area of Slovenia that this religion became popular in, and the corruption in politics in general. The church originally formed as the Church of the Blissful Ringing and later added zombie and trans-universal to the name. The former ruling was because of the Slovenian Democratic Party labeling the protesters as zombies during the People's Uprising. The official name was chosen using a Facebook poll, and the church uses the social media network for various activities. In 2014, the church was registered in the National Registry of Religious Communities, which as of 2016 contained 48 churches and other religious communities. The church also started gaining members in the neighboring Croatia with more than 10,000 members. The church is the fifth largest region in Slovenia, or religion in Slovenia. They spelled that wrong in the article.
What, Croatia?
Yeah.
Weird.
And after the Roman Catholic Church, Islam, Serbian Orthodox Church, and the Lutheran Church. So some of the things...
So it has other churches within it, is what I just feel like I just heard.
Well, the church, it said the church started gaining members in the neighboring, how do you say it?
Croatia?
Croatia?
Yeah.
With more than 10,000 members. The church is the fifth largest religion in Slovenia after the Roman Catholic Church, Islam, Serbian Orthodox Church, and the Lutheran Church. So that's the order of people following it in that country. So, some of the beliefs and activities. According to the members of the church, the theology and the rituals are not strictly defined. The members should believe in the bell and that the universe begun with a big bong, which took place before the Big Bang. Now, just hearing that, what are your thoughts? Because
unsubstantiated. That's not a proven thing. So,
well, is the Big Bang proven?
No, neither is the creation story or anything. So I
Yeah,
don't really
so it's the whole idea that, we look to a God as an almighty being just because it's seen in our eyes as normal,
care.
but
Some
if
people do.
this was read to a Christian, they'd be like, that's ridiculous. That's obviously a joke. What's to think that's why some people think Christianity is a joke or some other type form of religion like the Catholic Church? That's why they choose not to follow it. It's why a lot of people might be atheist or might not believe in anything.
Yeah, or agnostic.
Because without substantial evidence, there could be a pasta god or some type of deity that doesn't make any sense.
If you believe in any religion, then you should be able to believe in, like,
conspiracy theories.
Yeah, or like Scientology or anything, because you have to accept that you're accepting of like so many crazy possibilities that you need to be open to others as well.
So all open to all forms of interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
So among other things, the church requires members to have sex once per week. All right, I like this religion.
Mm-hmm.
And forbids planting of genetically modified crops and sexual assaults. Initially, the holy drinks of the church were beer.
So did it say what about modified crops?
It said it forbids planting of genetically modified crops and sexual assaults.
I'm already out.
You prefer GMOs?
Totally, dude.
You don't think that food should just grow naturally?
No.
Aren't some Christians against GMO foods? I
Probably,
believe that some vegans are actually against GMO foods too.
Probably, but that's because they're on the Monsanto train.
Well, look, what's the Monsanto train?
We'll have to say that for another podcast.
Well, look, I've had a 3-pound apple at Harris Teeter. This apple weighed straight up 3 pounds. If they're not injecting it with some type of shark testosterone or bull testosterone, there's no way that naturally grows that big.
Sign me out.
So the church initially the holy drinks of it were beer and pina colada and water, but this was later extended to include all drinks that members enjoy. The church states that it allows its members to adhere to some other religion as well, but requires all members to be at least 15 years old. The church plans to officiate weddings, including same-sex marriages. Well, I mean, there's a good benefit right there. It's already doing more than the Catholic Church and being open to gay people.
They're encouraging 15-year-olds to have sex once a week?
You have to be 15 to join the religion, but they say they don't adhere to, discerning or basically making anybody feel uncomfortable about if you want to get married to a guy or not. I mean, we don't see anything wrong about being gay, but the Catholic Church sees a problem with that, even though they do some pretty shady stuff that we've heard about.
It's more Christianity. Catholic Church kind of like let go of that one, I think.
Well, I mean, I'm already getting a good vibe for the church. You have to have sex once per week, and forbids planting of GMOs, and also you get holy drinks such as beer, pina colada, and water. So I mean,
well, my bar's 2 times a week, and I like GMOs, so I'm out.
All right, well, maybe we'll convince you yet. Every Wednesday, the members of the church gather around the Temple of Corruption, which is also known as the National Assembly Building of Slovenia, for Holy Mass. During the Mass, they use pots, pans, and bells to produce clanking sounds. In addition, the members are active in various charity activities such as helping people without health insurance, homeless, single individuals, and in 2016, also Syrian refugees.
Yeah, I like all those parts.
So they're doing a very productive thing, and you thought they were just some idiotic cult type with a bell. At least that's what I got from it. You hear Trans-Universal Church of the Ringing Zombie or Zombie Church of the Blissful Ringing. You're like, can you repeat that? Like, you have to have an acronym that's like, what is it? It's the TUZCOFTBR? Yeah, that's too long, friends. Can you write it down? Well, let's talk about the public perception of the Trans-Universal Zombie Church of the Blissful Ringing. It received a misrepresentation upon formation. It had been labeled as a parody religion by a sociologist, Dr. Martin Smirk, who compared it to the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster and Jediism. He considered the role of the church positive since it acts as a reflection of the problems facing the Roman Catholic Church in Slovenia.
And other religions in general. I mean, Islam has pretty bad rap with, actually the worst rap with homosexuality, so...
But it's just the idea of religion in general. Like, for some people, like, I never used to be, like, a Christian or anything. I'm not a Christian, but I like to think that there's a reason. I can see why people would follow it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't believe that you should push your religion onto anybody else. That's just not fair, because if that's not what they believe in, then they shouldn't have to believe in it. But, we've all come across the people that feel like that, if you don't believe in their religion, then you're going to be damned to hell forever, or damned to some bad place, or you're not going to have a happy afterlife. It's like, do we even know if there is an afterlife? So it's all the wantingness of there to be more. It's the reason why we chase after Bigfoot and other things of this sort. It's a highlight. Like, this religion pops up in my mind as something that is doing an active thing, trying to awaken people to the fact that the government is kind of corrupt. Mm-hmm. There are things going on that need to be focused on, and also helping out the homeless and being able to do a lot of church activities and, like, beneficial, like, off program stuff that a lot of the church doesn't really do either. Like, some of the church, like, they do some soup kitchen events or something like that where they help the homeless, but they don't put that at much of an advocate part as much as this religion is starting kind of to state. That's kind of, it seems like their focus, besides going out in front of the government buildings and spray painting.
I will say that I've seen more of a change in Christianity over the last 10 years of more of a push and focus towards that, of like the homelessness programs and shelter, food pantry type stuff. I've seen a positive growth there, but like, one thing I was thinking is, like, the interesting part about this is, if they're using it as a form of, like, protest and awareness and this and that, then it's like, why don't we have not the Church of Scientology, but, like, just the Church of Science, or the religion of science, being able to be like
a hive mind?
No. For us to recognize that as a religion and give it the benefits of what we give religions already, like if you're a registered religion and whatever, you get tax breaks and this sort of stuff, and all those things.
That's like, actually a conspiracy with this religion. They thought it was a giant tax break scheme.
Right. So it's like the tax break stuff. I feel like by starting another religion that says we believe in science and logical reasoning and this sort of thing, testing your hypothesis and only, like, going with facts, I feel like that could totally be a thing, of both a movement and, like, showing, hey, religions get all these, like, tax exemptions and these sort of exemptions and stuff, but, like, we have logical reasoning about ourselves, and, like, we want to have those tax exemptions too, and I think that is, like, totally justified.
The funny thing was about this government thing is that a lot of people, like, in the government, found out what these people were doing by protesting and doing this type of rising that's kind of highlighting the badness of the church and certain ethical issues. I've actually been on this Facebook of this page. A lot of it's in Russian, but thank God they have translations there for you. It's the whole idea of they pull out these sketchy videos that we see sometimes on the news that is completely, like, glossed over. Like, we don't even take a second time to look at it. And they dive deeper into the issue, these guys do, and they just post exactly what's happening, exactly what you can summarize from just hearing the interviews and the bills getting passed down in this country. And it's literally the correct examination of the corruption of the government. And they do it here too. They look at our videos and they try and decipher those as well.
Good.
And their whole idea is, like, they joke around saying world domination and stuff, but I believe you have to create a joke type vibe, and that really can bring some people in who are kind of ignorant to the whole idea. Like, a lot of people don't vote because it's just, they don't feel like it's going to matter, or they don't feel like, it's pointless. It's just, it's a waste of their time. Yeah. Well, if you create an event and give them an incentive to vote,
under the guise of parody or, like, something,
yeah, like, this parody religion, they're literally giving you like an incentive to do this. Like, hey, this is a fun thing to do. It's like literally going to the basketball court with your friends. You're going to have a good time. We're not trying to conform you to anything. The one thing I don't like about religion, like the Christian church and the Catholic church and a lot of these ordained churches, are the fact that they focus a lot on donations too. They're constantly seeing like they need a handout. The one thing I liked about Pastafarianism is they wanted you to keep your belongings. One of the commandments was, thou shalt not do anything to convert their money or personal wealth into me. Don't build any statues of me. I just want you to feed yourself with pasta and beer and love and do whatever all that is. And then he goes, but if you want to buy me something, I wouldn't be it's that whole option.
Like, don't pass around a plate, but be open to donations.
Yeah, it's like the whole factor of the thing is if someone wants, like for Scientology, that's a prime time example of a church that takes a lot of donations.
Totally.
To get a trophy,
And they also have like they also have like a system where they're trying to get
yeah.
all this money out of you.
Well, to progress in the church, I don't know if you ever heard the interview with Leah Remini on Joe Rogan's podcast. She talked about how someone spent, like, I think Tom Cruise spent like $1.3 million and got like a statue or award for his donation or something. That's what this Church of Scientology is. To be honored or move up in the ranks, you have to pay money, you have to shell out cash.
Yeah.
That whole idea is ridiculous. I don't believe you should be forcing anybody to donate to a religion that they are trying to believe in or trying to find, stamina or friction in. And if you look at that and look at all these parody religions, why we call them a parody religion, just because they have jokes in it, I don't think it's a religion that should be taken lightly.
It's still proving a point on some level.
Yeah, it still has a great inner motive to it. So, I mean, I'm already down with the church. I know you're not liking the whole GMO things, but
oh well, and I'm just
there's probably
it's more
around.
like in general, like any church, any religion, any whatever. Like at this point, I don't see how I would sign up for anything like that unless it was science. Then, like in logical reasoning, I would be down for something like that. But I get what this is. This isn't really a religion. It's it's a political. Yeah, protest.
Honestly, it's like a megaphone, and it's finally giving the people a voice to kind of shout in their own little fun way without really seeming like a ginormous threat to the government. Because if the government reads a lot of their stuff, they're like, okay, we're not going to focus. Obviously, people aren't going to find a lot of strength in this, but they're 10,000 members strong and still growing, so it's hard to think that maybe the government probably should have taken more time into trying to squash out this fire before it became something with a little bit of friction to it. Well, the registration of the church drew criticism from a Catholic association, Zavad ze Druzingo Incoltero Livlangia. It's Slovenian, so bear with me on that translation.
Right.
But as being an insult to the Catholic community in Slovenia, the Archbishop Stanles Zor stated that the registration of religious communities falls within the responsibility of the government, which has to outline clear criteria to see what contributes a religious community.
Good luck.
So critics mention that a motivation for the formation of the church included avoiding the upcoming real estate tax from which certain religious objects are exempt. On the other hand, Alice Krinick, a cultural studies professor at this university, stated that the church is a criticism of the modern state that has been failing to fulfill its social commitments. So, someone looking at it as a tax break and seeing that that's the whole idea, these people are even joining a religion is so they can just have a tax break or forming this religion. And then the whole idea that, no, it's to highlight what happens when you don't meet the social needs of a town. If people don't feel like they can voice their opinion, they're going to protest. They're going to start making, you can only push someone and keep them shut or quiet for so long without hearing their opinion. So one day they're just screaming it on the rooftops. That's why we have town hall meetings. Even though it seems like you're just speaking your word and nothing gets passed around, the people that are sitting there listening to you bitch at them about how the town needs this and the town needs that, they're just there to let you talk, let you blow off the steam. They don't have to do anything to get it done. Or we'll put this in motion. It'll just sit on hold forever. It'll never get done. But the whole aspect is like, that's what makes people that go, like when people say that's the best town's mayor, it's because he granted a couple favors. He did a couple things that the people wanted, because it was getting to the point where people were like, a lot of people were protesting about it. Like, look, we've been shouting our opinion for so long and nobody has taken the time to sit and listen to us,
Yeah.
It's when you feel socially just ignored.
Yeah, you need a vehicle to get your voice out there, for sure. And I like the idea of using it as a vehicle of to get your voice out there, because let's say and the reason I'm saying Islamic is because we know that that's the most conservative of the religions at the moment. And what I would say is let's say you have a Islamic country, majority. I feel like that's one of the best ways to get your opinion out there, because if they are at least a country that can recognize other religions being present in their country, without like being like only Islam, then that is almost your safety net. That's like that's your safety, is the vehicle of religion. You know what I'm saying? Versus like just getting taken out by a government.
Yeah.
You know, at least you have like religious freedom.
Well, I mean, what's different from freedom fighters that highlight and fight against the oppressive government? So, like, what's the difference between that and this?
Well,
there isn't too much of a difference.
Well, I'm saying like political retaliation, you can just be killed off, right? But like this is enabling you to retaliate politically by using religion.
Well, I did highlight and look up a couple things down into this article of my own research. I thought it was funny that, so they say the word bong is how they say amen.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of a prayer, they'll say bong.
Have you seen Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
No.
In that one, we should watch that, dude. It's a good movie. In that one, it's like the Church of the Divine Sneeze or something like that. Or they call it the Arkle Seizure or something, which is like God sneezed the universe into existence. And so when they say amen, they all sneeze. They all go, achoo!
Like on command, they could sneeze? Or do they all say achoo?
Like, they all say achoo, or something like... It's something along those lines. Like, it's all centered around, like, a nose sneezing.
The high priest usually ends the sermon with, "In the name of the bell, the pan, and the holy pot, bong." Thought that was pretty funny, you know. With Pastafarianism, they have, instead of, Passover, they have passed over. And instead of Ramadan, it's Ramindan.
Nice.
Yeah.
When everyone says achoo, like amen, the pastor goes, "Bless you."
What's one religion that you find the most, like, dumb or fault with?
Oh, this is where I get killed. Because right now...
You obviously have a problem with Islam.
Right now I do. Because it's like, it's just too controlling. I mean, I gave my time to Islam, just to be brotherly, I guess, and to learn more from my, Islamic brothers. But it also showed me a lot of things that I consider to be problems.
Is that where if you blow yourself up, you get 72 virgins?
I mean...
Did they specify?
No, not. I'm going to say
if
no.
If they're male or female? Because if you're a guy thinking you're going to get 72 virgins that are girls, and then you get up there and it's a bunch of guys in swimsuits, you're like, oh.
That's a yes and a no. I'm going to go with majority no, because most people aren't going to those extremes, but like, it's just, there's problems with all religions on every level. You know, like... Just
like there's problem with all people. Everything has a fault. I'm not trying to get you to focus on...
I can't be a part of a group because... Yeah. I can't sign up to say that I'm a part of any group anymore. It's very difficult because then you're lobbing yourselves in with them, and the second anyone screws up on that team, it makes you look bad.
Plus, if you confine yourself to a religion, you're kind of locking your position in and devoting all your thinking and all your belief into it. It's like, it's hard to believe and not be open to all aspects of interpretation. Like Ari Shafir, one of the famous comics, like he talks about when he lost Judaism. Like at one point, he was believed it for so long, did everything, went to bed, didn't eat meat and everything like that. And he said one night he was hungry, and you're not supposed to have your lights on after a certain time on Shabbos.
Yeah.
And he decided, fuck it, and just turned on the light. And he goes, wait a minute. And he just connected that with God. Like, he was like, maybe this is all bullshit. Yeah. And then, next thing you know, he wasn't wearing his hat at work anymore, and he was like, everyone was asking me questions, like, where'd your hat go?
Yeah. Well, for me, it's like, why, when I would go to mosque, could I not see any women? Not even, like, covered. Like, they have their own separate door.
You are showing ankle.
Men go in this door, women go in this door. Like, women only, men only. And then you don't see the women. And it's like... And they're in the back behind a curtain. They don't get the same rights. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm out.
In 2018, didn't the women of Saudi Arabia finally get the right to drive or be able to drive finally?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous to
think. That's such a ruse too. Like oh, they're getting rights and stuff. It's like, please. please.
Like I said, it's really hard. Like, it's really hard to get 100% committed on anything and then never be able to change your views, because like where people lose their religion or people do that thing, it's hard to see like every religion or anything in any person you're gonna find fault in. And like there's all these mythical tales. Like apparently in I forgot which religion it was, but some bald guy, was made fun of by a bunch of kids for being bald, and then he called upon God to help him, and
it's Elijah from the Old Testament of the Bible.
And God sent a bunch of bears to kill 40 lads of their children. Like, it's hard to follow something like that and be like, why would he do something like that if he's so vengeful? And then who was the guy where God and Satan had a bet to see how bad he could torture this guy? He killed the dude's family and left him burning in ash.
Dude, and you know what's so frustrating is this is how flawed humans are, man. We're so flawed. And like, this is all religions, but since you brought this one up, this is a Christian one or a Judaic one, which means you can lob Judaism, Christianity, and Islam all together. By the way, you would not have Islam without Christianity. And you wouldn't have Christianity without Judaism.
You wouldn't have God without the devil. You wouldn't have the devil without God.
No. Like, not like that. Like, Islam and the Quran come from the Christian God, Jehovah, in the Bible. Like, it's just the next. It's like they recognize.
It's like a subcategory.
No, it's like the chapter 3. You know, it's like the next book chapter. Yeah, in the Bible
series.
Yeah, they continue off that. So for me,
spin-off.
So for me, when any of those religions, anything from the Abrahamic on, like, I can't reason with, because they stop at like the creation story, which is like 6,000 or 10,000 years old, and I'm like, I'm already out because I disagree. And they seem to think like that's where everything started, and I'm like, dude, let's just keep going on the religion side of things. Like Hinduism and Buddhism and Jainism, all these things, all those things came thousands of years before any of the Western religions, which is all of what we live, everything that we follow, you know, in the West for the most part. The Eastern religions came way earlier. So there's that reasoning, and the whole idea of like someone telling you like, I know the answers, in not being able to budge at all. You've really lost me, because I know now that I can't even. I'm bringing it back around. I know that I can't reason with you, because your reasoning and your ability to like logically reason has gone out the window, because you're just saying, I'm believing what's been told to me. So with what you were talking about, where God's trying this man, that's the story of Job. And man, this is how flawed humans are. The story of Job. So
you are diverging hard, bro.
So, no, I'm bringing it all back around.
I'm trying to follow.
That's all right. So the story of Job is this guy who is like all about God. He loves God, and he's like the best, believer in the world or whatever. So
and he tests his faith by taking away all of these things.
Satan goes to God and says, "Hey, I bet I could break him," and God's like, "Nah, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen." So yeah, they kills his wife, his land goes dry, all this stuff. He loses everything, and like even his wife, before she leaves him or dies or whatever, like says,
she dies.
"Curse God and die."
Yeah.
Right? And he doesn't. But what's so frustrating is Christians will use that story when you're going through a really hard time in your life. When I got divorced, when people are going through like hard times in their life, they go there and they're like, "Oh, have faith like Job," and you're like, "Motherfucker, like how dare you even say like don't even try to just give a token story of some dude you have no connection to just say, oh, life stuff, keep your faith."
Well, the whole idea...
Keep your faith.
Well, the whole idea behind that was that everything that happened to him, he got back in return. Like, he got everything gifted back to him. Yeah, God granted everything back to him. He gave him his children back. He gave him more. He gave him infinite wealth. He gave him a bunch of things. He got everything back. The whole story flips around. You got to actually, dive into that story a little bit more. Everything. His skin goes back to normal. He's disease-free. His wife, family, everything. He's got everything back after he has all that faith. That's why church people say, have faith and have belief in all that. You got to look that up. I know for a fact that that's a thing.
You know for a fact?
That it got turned all around. Well, I don't know. I don't believe the story actually happened.
So I feel like you're telling me a part of the story that...
It's the ending of it. He's sitting smoldered or covered in ant bites on top of a pile of ash of what is his family in his house. And next thing you know, God or the devil was wrong, and God decides to give him everything back, gives him all types of laughter.
I'm pretty sure his kids die and all sorts of stuff, and he doesn't get back. Yep. Informing him that his sheep, servants, and 10 children have all died to thieving intruders, natural disasters. Blah, 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 blah. Nope. Yeah, pretty positive that he does not get any of his shit back, which is even more so frustrating to me, because I'm just like, how in the world are you going to give somebody this story like it's going to help them?
So he doesn't give any of his shit back.
No, it makes me want to punch somebody in the face if I ever hear that come up and be like, motherfucker, like, you lose all your shit, you lose all your family, you do all this, then you tell me how you still believe in God, then maybe I'll listen to you. Because otherwise, you have no context to actually relate this story to me.
I want to know who the depressed person that wrote the Bible was.
Why
couldn't we have like a positive
60
version of the Bible where a guy like looks through this like, this is too emo, Jerry, and Jerry's just like, life is nothing but despair. I think
God.
Where we're talking about everything and we're talking about religion and following a certain line, I believe that people need order, but at the same time, we have to know when to sense bullshit. When does your bullshit meter go off? You know what I mean? There's got to be a point where you're like, I don't think I should go and kill my family because some deity tells me to.
Right.
And then at the same time...
Why am I chopping the end of my dick off?
Well, like the one religion I find major fault in besides Scientology is the one with the snakes. You know? Jesus won't let the snakes bite you if you're holy and pure. And they're shaking the snakes, and everyone's getting snake bitten and poisoned, and they're friggin'...
So that's sort of like when you asked about, getting the virgins and, bombing something or suicide, whatever. Like, that's a similar parallel. So, like, you have, like, the snakes and that sort of stuff, and, like, the casting out demons and speaking in tongues and stuff. Like, at some point, like, you can't... There's divergence off of, like, all these larger religions, and you're going to have fringe groups all the time. You're going to have the ones that show up at those, gay military funerals and say, this person's going to hell and whatever. But, like, they don't really represent the larger...
They're just upset in their life, and they don't know how to be able to vent it besides using their religion as a mask.
Right, and that's what I feel like, probably ISIS and these sorts of things are. But that doesn't mean that Islam, Christianity, Judaism don't have their problems, because I believe they have fundamental problems that control people in a way that
they have certain aspects you can't believe in, which I understand.
Yeah.
So another one that I wrote down for was in the book, Article 15 says, "Forgive yourself, and the bell will forgive you." I thought that was a little bit weird, but I think that one's a little bit better. Instead of like, if you believe in God, then God will forgive you. Like that whole thing, if you have faith and you apologize to him, and then he will grant you forgiveness depending on if it's right or not. This is like, don't hold yourself accountable for, don't reflect on the past. Always move forward. Just forgive yourself and try not to make the same mistake again. That's a good meaning to it. And then Article 14. Some inhabitants on this country live on another planet. So I listened to that, I'm like, are they talking about like, there are people here on Earth or in the country of Slovenia that live on another planet, like that are from another planet? No, I think if you really say that out loud, that some inhabitants on this country live on another planet. That their mind's gone. Like their mind's on a whole nother realm of possibility. If you think die-hard Christian and I don't have a full belief in it and can't really interpret it myself, you are technically on a whole nother planet than me. You are looking at a whole nother planet in a different eye's view. You see everything as having a mystical force behind it being set into motion by an almighty being that created the world. Yeah. When someone who's an atheist does not see that, they just think life happens, and it's like, we gotta take it in strides.
I walked around thinking, everyone's going to hell pretty much, and I gotta do my part to help them. That's how I viewed the world. That was my perspective, and that's the perspective of many believers of any religions. Like that's how they're looking at life. At least the Western religions that have the whole like heaven, hell, creator concept, that sort of thing. The Eastern ones are a little different, but still, like,
They're needed.
all of them put blinders on you in some way that like change your perspective, where you're on a different planet than everybody else, and it's like, yo, you have to realize like you don't have all the answers, and unless like you can't prove them, so you have to be
open to all forms of interpretation.
Yeah, or at least like just
So
not enforcing your own view.
So what's your takeaway from this Trans-Universal Zombie Church of the Blissful Ringing? Hopefully that's the last time I'm going to have to say that long.
It's a good movement. I would call it a movement more than a religion, but it is meeting the qualifications of religion. That's how they're accomplishing their movement. So for me, I like the idea of poking holes and, finding loopholes.
Fundamental flaws in everyday life, like corrupt systems and things that we look as law and order.
Yeah, how do you define a religion, these sorts of things, and they're poking holes in all those things, finding the problems and pointing them out, and I like that.
So,
but I wouldn't be a part of it.
Just because GMOs.
Yeah, I mean, I might go outside with them, bang up pots and pans with them, but I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, imagine being a lawmaker trying to make something, or find where you're spending all your investment money, and next thing you know, someone's just banging pots and pans.
If I got a political or a tax exemption, I would totally do it, because then all the time I'd tell people, oh yeah, I just signed up for this church and I don't have to pay taxes anymore. They'd be like, what?
You're talking to the guy that went to the MBA to take a pasta strainer on his head in a picture for the ID because it's impostafarianism. So I understand what you mean. It's all about making a joke, I think, in life, and not taking it like too seriously, or take it lightheartedly. Like,
make a joke to make a point.
Yes. Like, if you're going to do a movement and you're going to try and convince anybody, you should do it in a fun-loving way rather than trying to bother them every single day and force it down their throat.
Humor is one of the greatest ways to critique somebody and call somebody out on their BS. I learned a lot from, honestly, Bill Maher, who I think is a huge dick sometimes, but like, he did this movie called Religulous, and he totally kind of like went after Christianity and some Catholicism stuff and whatever, and Judaism, but he still was able to almost make you laugh at your own beliefs, and that is the key. That's what I love about humor, because like it can get through your defenses, where you can actually like
bring down the wall
and laugh at yourself. And say, yeah, maybe that's kind of stupid. I haven't really thought about that or whatever. And like, I totally agree with the idea of using parody and humor and these sorts of things as a way to get people to see some truth.
Well, anybody that wants to look up the Trans-Universal Zombie Church of the Blissful Ringing, bong. It's definitely something that is it brings a little bit of joy and comedy once you're reading into it, and then you actually kind of find your own interpretation of it, whether you think it's bullshit or whether you think it's a proud movement or a proud protest that you might want to form here. So we're not just having it in Slovenia, because they're trying to get it over here as well. That's really all I have to say, besides in the name of the bell, the pan, and the holy pot. Bong.